Well, COVID-19 is stretching Europe to its limits, brutally exposing the bloc's weaknesses, vital medical equipment running out, critical supply chains disrupted, hundreds of thousands of people losing their jobs, businesses and industry brought to their knees. Solidarity between member states strained. Now, Europe was caught off guard by the coronavirus, but is now getting its battle plan in place. And one man is at the heart of that fight, and that is Thierry Breton, EU Commissioner for the Internal Markets. And he joins me now on the Global Conversation. Well, Commissioner, thanks so much for joining us on the Global Conversation. Now, this has been described as a war. Now, several weeks into the crisis, you who are in this war cabinet, let's say, how in control is the EU of its response?
Of course, I think it's important to remind to everyone that not one single country on the planet has been prepared, fully prepared for this kind of crisis. No one. You all remember that at the end of last year, we discovered the virus in China. And to tell you the truth, nobody took this very seriously. Except that, early January, we received a call from urgency from China, a call for help. And we sent 56 tons of products, masks, gloves, everything, including ventilators. And then, unfortunately, the pandemic moved to Europe and then elsewhere in the world. The first one, of course, was to make sure that we had equipment and then to increase drastically the production of equipment that we had in Europe. And I did it myself, calling all industries, and they reacted extremely well, increasing their production 2 or 3 times, working 24 hours a day. But it was not enough, of course.
But how control is the EU when it looks at the overall picture of the member states?
So now, of course, the strategy is very clear. We decided that we will be fully self-sustainable in terms of equipment, and we will be in the next few months. It's extremely important because, of course, we need this for protect our people, of course, the health personnel, but also all our fellow citizens when they will have to go back to work. We know that they will have to do this being fully equipped. In between, of course.
When you say that you'll be fully self-sufficient, in what terms? In terms of the medical equipment that has been running short and the fact of ventilators, all this will be produced now in Europe?
So that's again I was talking for personal protection equipment, and it will be the next few months hopefully. In between, of course, we have external sourcing for China and others. And I think that now is getting better. It has been a challenge, like it is a challenge like in other countries, in UK, in the US now. But of course, for us, we believe that in the next few months we'll be self-sustainable. But then,
can you be any more precise when you say the next few months? Do you have a more precise timeline?
No, but I think we believe that it's an unbelievable achievement. Just to give you an idea, China now is ready to produce 150 million per day masks. It was not at all the case in January, so we believe that we'll be able to do what it's needed. But now, of course, for ventilators, this is another very important and critical subject, and you're absolutely right to mention it, because we know that this is the equipment that is needed for a lot of patients in critical condition. And of course, here we did exactly the same thing. We increased productions, but it was not enough. So we called together with the president, Ursula von der Leyen, a lot of industries, like car industries, aircraft industries, and many industries who could probably change and make their production line and increase and create also the kind of production line and equipment to increase the production in Europe. And the answer has been tremendous. Just to give you an example, in France, the production was roughly 500 per year, and now within the next 50 days, with this consortium, they're committed to produce 10,000 of this equipment.
Okay, well, let's move the discussion on here. And prices skyrocketed on some goods, and there are concerns that the supply chain could still break down in some areas. Is a price rise on certain goods inevitable as this pandemic continues to flow through the EU?
You know, we have a very coherent and robust set of tools to track that, and we will apply immediately. We have also an enforcement position and role, and I will not hesitate to use my enforcement power to do this as soon as we will see it. So we have developed, as you know, a very powerful set of tools to track this. We are monitoring. If I see something like this, I will not hesitate to intervene and to use the enforcement regulatory tools that I have in my position.
So you can force member states to bring the prices down of some goods if you see this happen.
Everything which is abnormal regarding the markets and regarding our regulations will be used. Yes.
OK, I'd like to move on to the situation of jobs, because we've been hearing the latest data from the European Trade Union Confederation that estimates that 1 million jobs have been lost in the past 2 weeks because of this pandemic. Now, SMEs, as you know too well, account for 2/3 of jobs across the EU. Given what we're seeing, this is only the tip of the iceberg, isn't it?
Well, I don't want to say this because, of course, first protecting jobs is a priority, and it's a priority of the Commission, a priority of the President von der Leyen. And by the way, the President von der Leyen announced that the Commission will put on the table a specific fund, we call it SURE, in order to provide help and support to the member states who will need it to help during this period. And hopefully, it will not last forever, of course. But to give the ammunition for the states to maintain people at work while paying, of course, the subsidies instead of the companies, and this is a pretty big fund, 100 billion. Euros.
OK, but countries like Spain and Italy are at the forefront of this. They're going to need these funds more than most. Solidarity is in short supply. Germany and the Netherlands have not been wanting to play ball when it comes to mutualisation of debt. Is that going to change?
First, what is extremely important is to make sure that every single European country will have their own plans in order to rescue and then to allow their industry and companies to rebound during and after the crisis. Germany already built this plan, and this plan has been voted last week in the Parliament, in the Bundestag. It's a huge plan, 356 billion euros, and of course, no single country has today the money for that. Germany has not the money. The Netherlands, they don't have the money. France has not the money. Spain, no one, not one single country in the EU could afford this plan. They all will have to borrow the money, starting by Germany and the Netherlands. No single country will be left aside in this crisis.